Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Solutions Lab. I am Chris Phillips. Thank you so much for joining us here today. Today, we're going to be talking about helping people work together while apart with HP. And to do that, I've got two wonderful speakers from HP. First of all, I have Paula Shrimsher. She's the Channel Partner Alliance Specialist from HP. Paula, how's it going?
Great. Great to be here.
We also have JR Page. JR, he is the HR Channel Alliance Manager for HP. JR, how's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Oh, I'm pretty good. It is a fabulous sunny day in Pennsylvania, and there's a lot of places I'd rather be, but I'd much rather be here with you guys, and then I can go spend the rest of the day outside where it's nice and warm. But before we get started, I want to kind of go through the platform for you guys that are watching live. If you have any questions about the broadcast, we will be taking questions as we go. If we don't get to your questions as we go, we'll be pulling them together at the end. You can ask your question in the window that I just highlighted. If you want to take a look at some available resources that are a part of this presentation as well, they are available at the window I highlighted here. And there's also kind of a new feature to just generally react to what you're seeing. Put that there. Have fun with it. It lets us know in real time how we're doing. But with that being said, I'm going to push it over to JR to start. JR, how's it going?
It's going all right, man. Excited to be here. Thank you. Thank you for the invite.
Here we go.
Let me know if you're able to see that. If everything's going
we're good
all
to
right.
go.
Fantastic. Good. Well, hey guys, I really appreciate you coming on and jumping on here for me, and I love talking to you guys. D&H, thank you so much for having Paul and myself here. It's always a pleasure. D&H, you do a fantastic job. We're excited to be here with you, one of our top partners. And all you guys out there, thanks for all you do for us from an HP perspective. We love you guys. We wouldn't be here without you. So thank you so much. Wish I could be there in person with you. We'll do this this time virtually, and hopefully in the future we'll be able to meet you face to face. I always love the face to face meetings a little bit more, but hey, we got to do with what we got to do. It
matches the theme of the broadcast right now.
Absolutely,
we got to work better together while we're apart, and I can't wait to see you in person as well.
Absolutely. So all right, guys, today what I want to do is I kind of wanted to discuss AI, right? I think that's kind of the big talking point. I think that everybody's going to be talking about nowadays. I think AI is kind of the big button out there that everybody's talking about. We want to make sure that we're discussing this and give you guys some things to talk about. From an Intel perspective, we have a lot of great things to talk about from an AI standpoint. When we kind of look at the overall market right now in 2024, we look at things and we're really excited, especially the second half of 2024, because of the launch of the Meteor Lake processor that we're going to talk about. We've got Windows 11 that's recently come out. We think 2024, the second half of 2024 is really going to be the year of the refresh, right? We were hearing a lot about that. For all those who know, one of the things that we've been seeing lately, and it's something that's kind of changed a little bit since COVID hit, looking at IDC numbers and talking with those guys. The big change in the industry that we've seen is that people have normally kind of relied upon a 3-year refresh. That's kind of been the norm up until COVID happened. Right? And what we're seeing today is we're seeing that being pushed out to 4 years, 5 years. And I think that's why we're excited right now, because this puts us right in that sweet spot of that refresh from everybody that's coming out of COVID. Now there's a lot of concerns for people who don't refresh and try to extend that a little bit, and we'll talk a lot about that today. But again, we want to make sure that we give you guys some talking points to be able to go out there and speak to your customers about. Now, one of the things that I think is really important, and I think this is something that hopefully you guys have heard. I know I talk about this on just about every presentation I do right now, and I want to make sure that everybody understands. Intel's going through a rebrand. So you're going to see some different things from Intel that you haven't seen in the past. I mean, I think they've kind of always done a good job of identifying themselves with badges and different things, but they're changing them up a little bit. The one thing that we're going to see that kind of took me by surprise a little bit is they're dropping the I off all their processor names. So, we used to have the i3, the i5, the i7. You're no longer going to be able to see that. So, don't look for that. If you're searching for a certain processor, don't do that, because it's, we're going to be removing that. You've probably already seen it in the channel, but just to give you a heads up on that. The other thing that's going to be a little bit different is you're seeing some new badges. So we got, on the screen there, we got the Intel Core Ultra badge. Anytime you see that badge, just know you're going to be working with our Meteor Lake processor. So that's that new processor that's been released. It's already been released on a few products, and there's a few more coming out this week. And then I think there's even a couple more coming out in the next couple weeks. And I'll show you a roadmap a little bit later to kind of give you an idea of what to expect and when to expect those things. So when you see that Intel Core Ultra badge, you're going to only be looking at the Meteor Lake CPU. So that's what you're going to see. We don't have that Meteor Lake on the desktop side of things. So, you're only going to be looking at that for the notebook side. So just to give you a heads up on that as well. All right. Now this is the last slide I'm going to go over, before we kind of jump into the part of the presentation. And this is just some of the processor changes. Like I say, I think it's really important to get these out there to let when you're looking for stuff. We have a lot of this. When I talk to people, they're always trying to look at different numbers on processors. And you'll see on the screen there's some number change. Really the big difference, and I think that the couple things I want to point out on this slide is that, the P processor is going to be collapsed into our H processor family. And the big difference between the P and the H is going to be our H processors have the Intel Arc graphic card. So as opposed to the Iris Xe graphics card that you've probably all become familiar with, we're now going to be going with that Intel Arc graphics card on that, which is going to give you a 30% better performance on that. So that's something to look forward to. So that's, again, just a slide to hopefully get you on the right path when you're looking for our processors. Okay, now the main topic today, and that's AI. Really, when Intel started looking at 2024 and started looking, obviously even before then, they see that this birth of the AI PC that's come about. Now, for those of you who know, AI has been around for quite a while. It's nothing that's new, but it's kind of taken on a life of its own. AI has been on the Intel chips for quite some time. We've had them on there, and I think that's one of the things that when we're talking to customers out there, is a lot of them think that, hey, this AI is it new? And it really is not new. It's something that's different, and we're changing the way we go about things. But AI has been around for some time, and again, most of you guys all know that, and I think it's something that our customers sometimes when they talk to us about it, are like, oh, this AI, what is it? What's it about? So we want to make sure that when we talk to them, we give them some good talking points. We able to help them understand what it means today. With that said, the release of the Meteor Lake processor is going to represent Intel's largest architectural update on a CPU in the last 40 years. And so that's pretty large. And I think the reason that they've seen that for is they've seen that there were some changes that had to be made in order to make sure that we took care of the CPU from their perspective and took care of the AI activities that are now coming up and popping up all over, and these new AI applications. We wanted to make sure that we were able to give customers the experience they need to make sure they're getting the performance that they've been used to. Now, a couple things that I want to talk about with this, and I know Paul is going to probably touch base on this quite a bit, and this is something that Intel and Microsoft, really, to be honest, are very proud of, is the fact that Microsoft and Intel have worked very close together on the launch of the Meteor Lake processor and on the launch of Copilot, making sure they work together to make sure it's going to work seamlessly. A couple things you're going to see here with the launch of the Meteor Lake processor on all of our notebooks, our Generation 11, from an HP standpoint, you're going to see this Copilot button. It's going to be on our machine now. You're going to be able to hit that button, kind of launch straight into the version of Copilot. This is a great way to get your customers an idea and some experience working with Copilot. So when you introduce them to that, they're going to be able to see it. Because a lot of customers, I think, are not really sure about AI and how they're going to use it. And honestly, and Paula will probably go into this a lot more detail, but Copilot's one of the coolest things I've seen in a long time. And so I'm excited about it. I'm excited for every time I see a presentation, I get excited because there's a new way I can use it. I was out in Boston last week talking with some people, and they were sharing ways they use AI and they're using Copilot. And I was really excited to see the different ways that people use it. And so I think what we're going to kind of get at is that AI is a journey, right? I think that we all don't have a total grasp on what we're doing with it right now, especially our customers don't. And I think it's going to be important for us as we work with our customers to have them understand that it is a journey and it's something that, hey, you don't just buy a PC and, okay, you're good to go. We're going to have to learn with them and help them learn along the way to make sure that, but this is a great way to do it. I love the Copilot key just because it gives them a good sampling of what it's like. Now, again, in order to get the full-fledged version of it, they're going to have to reach out and have the licensing agreements with Microsoft and Copilot and all that stuff. But this is a great way to get them started down that AI path. All right, now we talked about the being the largest architectural update you'll see on a CPU in the last 40 years from Intel. I want to actually means. So, and this may be a little more in depth than a lot of you want to go into, but I think most of you are probably aware of, from before this, we had the CPU and the GPU, right? That was kind of what ran the machine. Now, with the introduction of the Meteor Lake processor, we're introducing you to the NP, or the neural processing. Now, this NPU is going to do quite a few things for Intel, and it's one of those things that's made us really excited about some of the performance that we're seeing on our machines. The first thing that it's going to do is going to allow us to offload all of our AI applications from our CPU and GPU and kind of move that over to the NPU, right? So this is going to free up processing space. It's going to do a lot of different things, but it's really going to allow us to run everything faster. We've noticed that, and I'm going to share some stats with you in a little bit that you'll see just how much faster things are going to go. We've seen a lot of performance increases because of that, making sure that we're running all of our AI applications onto this NPU. The other thing that we've noticed with that is it allows us to be a lot more efficient with our CPU and with how we process our power. So we've noticed with this, and when going back for a couple months when I started first hearing about Meteor Lake and Intel was giving me some trainings on it, the first thing that always jumped out to me was the battery life improvement. So you'll see a marked battery life improvement from the last generation to this because of Meteor Lake and because of this new architecture on our CPUs. And so that's something that's very exciting. We have several models that are reaching up to 2.5 hours better battery life than they've seen before. So that's something that's going to be very exciting. I mean, again, like I said, that's the one thing that when I first seen the presentation on Meteor Lake that really jumped out at me. But there's another one that I think that kind of is flying under the radar a little bit. And I think the big thing for that is it's the fact that we're able to run our machines a lot cooler now. And I think that that's something that's going to be a big dividend down the road a little bit. I used to work for a white box reseller, and I can tell you we spent a lot of money and a lot of time working on keeping our machines cooler, because what we found out is when we ran our machines at hotter temperatures, the components around the CPU, not only the CPU itself, which obviously was compromised a little bit when you ran it hotter, but the components around the machine also broke down a lot quicker. And so because of this new architecture, we're able to run it at a cooler temperature, which is something that's going to be very, very good for us. I think that's something that we're excited for.
JR, I'm super excited for this as well. I absolutely love Intel processors, but my number one criticism for them in the mobile space has been heat. They've always been a little warm. So to hear this and to hear it being addressed is, I can't do the emoji claps because I'm on this side, but I'm doing it. I love it. It is,
and it's really exciting. And again, I think I let my nerd out a little bit when I talk about this, because working for a white box reseller before, I was right there with you. I realized how damaging heat was with it, and so to me it was very exciting to see him talk about this and to get that temperature down, because it really does a lot for the longevity of our machine. And so I think that's something that's very exciting. And I think sometimes when I see people talk about it, to be honest, they skip over that part, because again, the battery life is one of those things. It's kind of a flashy, exciting thing. We talk a lot about that, but I think we sometimes overlook the importance of the temperature we run at. So that's something that's we're thrilled with it too. So, and this is kind of just another way to look at how things are going to be distributed along our CPU here. Again, I think it is important to know that the NPU can handle other things. It doesn't just solely do AI tasks. So you're going to be able to run things, be able to run things even if it's not AI. So that will again allow our processor to be a little more efficient as well. So you can kind of see this, but we've discussed this a little bit already. And this is the stats. I've been doing this for some time now. And one of the things that really stuck out to me when I first seen this was that 47%. When we talk about a better office app productivity, that's something that really, when the 47% number, we always see that. This is one of those numbers that show up all the time when we go from generation to generation on the processor, and to see an improvement of 47%, that's drastic. The other two we've kind of talked about already, right? That processor power reduction for video conferencing, like stuff we're doing right now. We're seeing a 36% reduction in that. Again, that gives us the longer battery life, the cooler temperatures, things we're excited about. You also see the AI performance 2 times that, 2.2 times that with our video editing. So these are performances we're really excited about. I really, the benchmarking on these processors have been outstanding. They've been, and I know I always tell everybody this because everybody's benchmarks are a little bit different. And I think that it's really exciting that we have these benchmarks because they're really, really been awesome. The performance on the Meteor Lake's been through the roof. So it really stands out to us on that. So you'll see a marked improvement with going to Meteor Lake. All right, now this next slide, and I think may be the most important slide when we talk about AI with our customers. And I think the reason I find it important is because, like I mentioned earlier, is AI is a journey for us, right? We're not going to be able to jump right in and buy a laptop and say, hey, we're good to go. There's so many different working parts with AI right now. And so I think it's very important that we understand that Intel is working with all these logos to make sure. So this is only a smidgen of them. I think we're working with up to over 100 different logos right now, making sure that their applications run seamlessly on our Meteor Lake processors. And I think that this is something when we look at Intel and why you go to Intel, why you choose Intel, it's because of the relationships they have within the industry. The fact that they're working with Microsoft to make sure that it works seamlessly with Copilot, it's huge. And then you see some of the things, we got Adobe on there, we got CrowdStrike, WebEx, Zoom. These are all some of those logos that we're all familiar with. All of our customers are probably running different AI applications with them. It's going to be, give us that kind of peace of mind to know that the top AI applications out there have already been tested and work with Intel. So again, this is what's really important because this is going to be a journey. We're going to have to continue to work with these guys to make sure that their stuff works with our stuff because we want our customers to have a great AI experience. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about, and this just flashes up really quick for you, is to give you kind of an idea. This is a roadmap that you'll see. You're going to see our G11. We have the ZBook Firefly already available on the channel. The 800 you should be able to get right now as well. The EliteBook 600 and the 400, you're going to be seeing those a little later this week, should be released. And so we want to make you well aware of that. And then I think that the following week, if I understand my dates right, the 26th, yeah. So the ZBook Power G11 and the EliteBook 1000 series, we're going to see that by the end of the month as well. So this is kind of want to throw this up here so you guys have a good idea of when to expect these things. Again, there's always, a little trickle effect in those things, but we get them out. But these are the dates that you should start being able to see all of these for you. All right. Now, the last thing, and I only have, and I know I'm going to run through this pretty quick, is talking about the vPro. vPro is something that has been affected by AI positively as well. There's a lot of features on vPro that we want to make sure that we touch base with. Don't let your customers forget this because this is something that's very, very important. Again, because of the sake of time, I'm not going to go over each of these things, but the one thing I do want to talk to you about that I think is very important, and I think this kind of addresses that issue that we see from IDC when they're saying people are trying to get a little bit more out of their machine than they have in the past. And what scares me about that is when people do that is it really puts your machine at risk. So I jumped through a couple slides, but the slide I'm hoping is showing up is a percentage slide. Let's see. Okay, hopefully this next one will go up. Show some percentage. And this really, what you need to know is that when you try to get your devices and try to get as much life out of that device as you can, you really become a risk for different attacks. And we're seeing since COVID, this is something that's been a huge talking point. We talk about on every slide, making sure security is on the front of all of our minds, that we're taking care of that. But if you're running a 4-year-old PC, your attack surface are going to be reduced by 70% versus running our new Meteor Lake processors. Something that's very huge. We're going to see 21% fewer impactful security events by running, our Meteor Lake processors with vPro. Very important because today we've also seen since 2020, we've seen a 15% increase in the costs of a data breach. It's now $4.45 million for the average data breach the customer goes through. If you're in the healthcare department, it's actually more. It's 10.9 if you're in the healthcare side of things. So this is crazy numbers. And that kind of changes the philosophy for our customers is the fact that, they can't afford to wait anymore. They can't afford to not refresh their machines and get the most out of them because of that. It's really, really scary to see that. So make sure when you're talking to your customers that they understand the risks of trying to stretch that machine out a little bit. And then the last slide here is just kind of a summary slide. This kind of goes over all those things that we've already talked about. So again, I don't want to spend any more time on this. Before I turn the time over to Paula, are there any questions that anybody has for me?
that came across. If you guys have any questions, you can go ahead and ask them now. And if we don't see them in the next couple seconds, we will kind of hold them till the end here. But I think
guys,
go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I apologize. I do appreciate you answering these poll questions. They really does give us a good idea. This is the way we get out and see people now, and so I want to make sure that if you haven't got a chance, make sure you answer those, because it's important for us to understand where we're at in this AI journey. So thank you for that. Thank you for taking time, and again, DNH, thank you for inviting us, and always appreciate it. And I'll be here for any other question you guys have throughout the presentation. So thank you so much.
Well, JR, there was a question that came in. We'll kind of ask that question now while Paula is. Ronnie had a question. Ronnie had a question. He was asking, will the NPUs require additional / specific programming to make use of them?
No. So as soon as you get right out of the box, you'll be able to utilize that right away.
A lot of these newer AI processes do take a little bit more on the system side, the system architecture side, to execute properly. But like you were saying, JR, it seems like with the new NPUs, the CPU is intelligent enough to go, hey, this is a process that would be better suited for the NPU, and puts that that process there.
There's actually, Intel has what's called the Intel thread detector that's on their chip, on the silicon itself. And you may have remembered this from when we released a 12th generation processor. That 12th generation processor kind of introduced that Intel thread detector. And what that did, if you remember back then, that introduced us to two different cores. We had the E cores and the P cores on our CPU. And so what that allowed is that would kind of tell you how, what took care of the P, what went to the performance core and what went to the efficient core. That's still present, and that's what's going to kind of help us determine where, what app goes to what part of the CPU. And so that's still available and still working on our new processors.
Right.
Hey, everybody. Thanks again for letting us come and talk to you about some updates here with Microsoft, Windows 11 and Copilot. Very excited to be here to share some great tips for you to share with your customers. I want to start out with this reminder here. So, hey, look, Windows 10 end of support. Everybody knows it's coming. It's only about 18 months out now. So October 14th, 2025, that's when it gets here. We need to make sure our customers are aware of the implications that happen when Windows 10 goes end of support. It was announced that we actually will have Windows 10 extended support, much like we've had for Windows 7. But the position of HP and Microsoft is that we do not want customers to have to pay for extended support. So we want to work together to make sure that we get all our customers on Windows 11. You may recognize that customer that I'm talking about right now, right? It's the one that will do everything to find a way to buy new units with a Windows 10 downgrade. So going forward, hopefully in this training, you will find some goodness to talk about and to help guide those conversations. So we know that the business computing challenges for customers are pressured to improve that user experience, right? They want to make sure they can support flexible work, which means, working from anywhere, whether they're traveling, working from home or on site. It's truly a flexible environment out there today. And we know that security remains top of mind. This is a big wave around AI. Everything is around AI computing right now. And as we all know, this brings a huge opportunity for all of us. We know that there are over 100 million devices out there globally that are over 4 years old, ready for refresh into a new modern technology environment. So let's address the challenges that they have, and let's help them put a plan together. So I just want to remind everyone that Windows 11 is a feature update to Windows 10, right? It is an in-place update. It's just the next version of Windows 10. So for that customer that has that trepidation of doing that transition, we also want to remind them that there's almost 100% compatibility, app compatibility rate. And this is by design. So just, remind them, when you think of Windows 11, Think of it as Windows 10 with a new user experience that can take advantage of AI features, that has new enhanced features, better security, innovation that can position them to be competitive and take advantage of new designs and platforms in AI going forward. So, I mean, some of it is, think of Windows 11 as an investment in AI. So when Windows 11 first launched back in 2021, over 2 years now, the conversations were around endpoint management. Those conversations began to get very accelerated, right? If you remember when the pandemic hit, devices previously had been used safely in the confines of the four walls of an organization. But now they'd gone wild. They were going everywhere, and customers didn't know if devices were staying up to date, if they were on, or even if they were being utilized. So lots of that conversation peaked around how they could move to secure a more modern style management infrastructure. But today, what we're seeing, right, is the shift in the conversation is around that user experience. We're seeing the pain points are more in what we call that digital debt or brain drain, more time on Zoom or even, Teams call. Everything is a constant stream of digital interface. So generative AI is here, and users want to leverage AI to help get more done at work while simplifying how it gets done, and how to alleviate some of those pain points as well. So that's really where Windows 11 helps. We know that older devices, they cost more. We also know that 83% of the decision makers are going to increase their AI spend this year. We want to help them to understand that investment in Windows 11 is part of that, right? That ROI will come from investing in Windows 11 devices. It starts there. So that's going to really be kind of what we're going to continue to hit on here, that Windows 11 is an investment in AI. It increases that user experience, and it's going to be the beginning of this, kind of the tip of this AI revolution that we're approaching, and should be one of the foundational elements that our customers are considering when they think about that investment plan and that ROI in their organization. So you see, I love this one. It shows Windows 11, the device, kind of at the center of that plan, right? So we know that there's opportunity. We know that there's a lot of devices out there that can't necessarily do that immediate or that Windows 10 to Windows 11 upgrade. So they are going to need to be refreshed, right? As this and as the Windows 10 is coming into support on those devices that aren't going to be able to upgrade initially, then we're looking at how to help them with that plan, how to assess which devices can move to Windows 11 and which ones need that refresh. We can help them create that plan. We know that Windows 11 is the answer, and we know it brings more security, brings improved end user productivity, and is the foundation for this shift into AI. So everyone out there wants to talk about Copilot. You see kind of how it's layered on in there, and Microsoft doesn't make it easy to differentiate on the different Copilots. It seems like just about everything now is rebranded with a Copilot, but that AI innovation at Microsoft, really in that Windows 11 platform, is not just Copilot. We're bringing AI innovation across the entire platform. So when we think about Windows 11 device, it should be at the center of every customer's AI journey before they expand out into those other areas of AI within their model or their plan. So when you layer on these other elements, and it really does start with the AI getting that work done. It starts on that PC, the additional features, stronger security, that modern device management, deployment with Autopilot, productivity, and then eventually deploying these different Copilots. Then you really start to see how this modern infrastructure gets them into that AI readiness plan. We know that 87% of organizations believe that AI will give them a competitive advantage. We also know that generative AI has some early promises. As this older study from Harvard Business School shows, so without reading all of these, I did want to touch on that 40% increase in quality of response to subtasks. So we know that generative AI can help improve the quality while decreasing time spent to complete those tasks. So again, we're looking at like who's going to be in this competitive space, right? Those that are getting to, adopting AI, adopting Copilot into their environment to help their workers get more done with quality and speed. So on the early findings here, I love this chart, and I won't go through all of these as well, but early adopters have found that Copilot saved them up to 10 hours a month in productivity and creativity, and users can catch up to 4 times faster in their meetings. I don't know if you've had a chance to go out and watch any of the videos with the Copilot with the Microsoft 365 apps, but the one for Teams is really amazing. So if you have you're double booked for a meeting and you can't attend, and you have Copilot kind of capture the notes and the action items from that meeting. Basically what it does is like having an assistant that attends that meeting for you. Not only that, the meetings that you do attend, you can really focus on the topic at hand because Copilot does the notes, it captures the highlights and the features and action items from those meetings. And it does it in such a way that instead of you taking those notes and you having to actually capture all that, it does it for you. So hence that catching up with meetings 4 times faster. And then thanks to the advancements and also other apps like Excel and Word and PowerPoint, it continues to give you that kind of that leverage, that competitive edge to those that aren't using it, because you're spending less time in those mundane tasks and you're spending a lot more time in that creativity side, that planning side, that actual focus on that project versus doing those mundane tasks. So I wanted to point out though here, it's really funny that 77% actually would rather have Copilot than even a free weekly lunch. So when you look at the just early adopters and the wow factor around what Copilot does in that workplace, and not just the speed of productivity, but also increases that creativity and helps out with such high ratings from those that used it. We know that there is a lot that's being said around how when it comes to being competitive, who's going to stay competitive. When you unstack this, I think it comes down to who's getting replaced by AI and who isn't. Something to think about. When I think of AI innovation and what it brought to Windows 11, so first I want to talk about one of the new features, the AI-powered recommendations, right? For customers who log in with their Entra ID, also known as your Azure Active Directory, it's actually going to offer up AI recommendations within your File Explorer. So for example, you boot up your PC, you open up File Explorer, and it looks at your calendar. It'll offer files that things that might be relative to your meetings on the calendar, which is really very cool. And it says, hey, you spent a lot of time working on this file last week. So it offers it up to see if it's something that you also might be of interest to start your day. So sort of again, on that personal assistant kind of side, helping to find things faster and to really focus and spend your time on the things that bring a little bit more meaning to your day. So there's also, when we talk about security, which is huge, right? Always top of mind, bringing in that security to the AI as well. We have a new feature that sits on the OS level. It's called Enhanced Phishing and Protection with Microsoft Defender Smart Screen. So the way that this works, Microsoft analyzes over 65 trillion daily signals from a security perspective, getting insights from around, about over a billion insight from across the globe. So how they take this intelligence and what it says is that if an end user visits a site or third-party application, and if that site has been flagged for being malicious and the end user accidentally inserts their credentials, Microsoft suddenly pops up a warning, says, hey, we need to let you know your login's probably been compromised. You need to be proactive and go and reset that password. So we know that one of our biggest vulnerabilities are the end users, right? Not being aware of those bad actors, or maybe, logging into areas that are malicious unknowingly. So this really is very proactive in that security space. And then Windows 11 is the most accessible version of Windows ever. We're leveraging AI to make sure that we have the most inclusive Windows ever to access things like natural language interaction, live captioning, narrator support, and other important features to ensure that AI innovation is available to all the users across the organization. So I love this. I'll spend a little bit of time on here. I know that JR talked about the NPUs in the hardware kind of in depth, but I want to put it in perspective in terms of the Windows Studio effects, right? So when you think about when you initially started working from home, right? During the pandemic, you had PowerPoint up, you had Excel spreadsheets open, you had other apps on, right? And suddenly you had to be on a Teams call. And so you jump on Teams and you put your blur background on, and all of a sudden, if you were presenting, or depending on, kind of what the situation was, you had to turn off your camera and have your deck on, or something had to kind of be shut down in the background. And really, because Windows 10, within Windows 10, Teams sat on top of the operating system, but within Windows 11. So this was the initial way to take care of this, because really the PC, it just struggled, right? It was really tough. Kind of a tough experience too. And we were all engaging through Teams and through Zoom, and that kind of experience in those Teams meetings and those meetings that we had really had an impact on that experience, our user experience. So when Windows 11 operating system was being developed, they said, we need to incorporate this into the operating system to make this a much better experience. So on top of that, then they took it even further with the AI effects, right? And so now what you have is you have this NPU that takes the audio, and it takes the video, and it takes the other loads that offset to the NPU. So the CPU is loosened, the workload is loosened up, and so it's balanced, and so it's a much better experience. And so it's nice because all of the smart features, all of the AI features now that continue to come out with the NPU give an incredible, powerful experience. So that's kind of where that Windows Studio effects come in and takes advantage of the new architecture with the NPU. Love it. Okay, so we have a lot of Copilots out there, as I mentioned, tons of buzz around Copilot. If you go out onto YouTube, there's lots of great demonstrations on Copilot, but really the gateway into the Copilot in Windows is that user experience, and it's directly integrated into the Windows 11 PC. So as we kind of go through some of these enhanced features, again, for time's sake, I want to make sure that I'm getting into this window here of time. So as mentioned, Microsoft continues to innovate, being at the tip of this AI journey and really concerned with this end user level, right? So it comes to that end user level. Usually when we think of AI, we think of like these supercomputers and some of this really advanced stuff that's going on, but really this is AI at our level. This is how it's helping us, how it's making a difference in what we do on a daily basis, right? So I'm not going to touch on all of these. Probably the more popular ones is like the snipping tool, right? So you don't really think of this being like an AI feature, but it certainly gives you an idea of how it's kind of, we continue to get enhanced even more and more and more and better at this. So the snipping tool today, as you use it, you are not, there isn't any edited, it's not editable. So that optical recognition stays the way it is. Now you're going to be able to text and copy and paste into a document and edit. So you extract that snip. You can paste it, and then retype the information and edit. This is what AI brings to us, is the ability to do things faster and smarter. And then the Windows ink, for those that are out in the field or that just always have the need to be able to do this, they can ink anywhere on the screen, and it captures and it searches. So those are a couple of really cool features that I just wanted to point out on that, but it's just getting better and better. So what can Copilot in Windows really do? This is an actual shot of the Copilot that you'll see. And at the top, right up at the top there, you have this toggle. It says Bing Chat, which is actually now MS365 chat now. But you see the little shield next to it. It gives you that data protection shield that says, commercial data protection. So that's kind of a big deal as well. But when we talk about productivity and personalization, it's so much greater in having this kind of ability within Windows 11. And when it comes to, personalizing or organizing your windows, having the capability to do that, right there. Before, you used to have to call up like the help desk and add personalization features to your desktop, which you don't have to do anymore. And start a focus session, or how Windows scales across the PC to help you just get things done, snap layouts, just that functionality and being able to personalize your IT needs, and that PC experience is right there at your fingertips. And it just shows how it touches on that process and create, that productivity, and then personalization that makes it a much better experience for you. And more efficient to work with as well. So while Windows, Copilot in Windows is a great feature, when we start thinking about, even though this is really great to have, we hear from customers that they see there's benefit, but lots of concerns around the data and privacy. Some companies have even told their employees not to put information in the AI-powered chats on the web, because we know that ChatGPT in its current form cannot forget things. So they block them. They say they aren't safe. They don't want them to put company information into the chat sites because they can't be used in that large language model to train. And so, fear of information leaking out and causing potential issues. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that commercial data protection that we have in Copilot. So as you look across the columns here, you see that it's available for consumers. You also see the commercial version here too. And so it gives you all of the different features down here as you go down the line, and show as the user logs in with their Entra ID. So we're now covering this commercial column here, talks about that data commercial protection. But once they log into that with that Entra ID, no one at Microsoft can see the data. It's leveraging the large language model that it sits within this boundary, but the data is encrypted and it is not used to train a large language model. So it gives customers confidence that none of their data is going to be seen or leaked or potentially given out to the public at large. So when you think about how adding on Copilot as a productivity partner is, then you would look at that Microsoft 365 Copilot that has all of the extra apps that you can use that I've been talking about with Excel and PowerPoint, Word, Teams, with an additional licensing cost there that you see. I also want to kind of close up here and share that so for those customers with those sustainability goals, hey, great, Windows 11 Pro, it's a first carbon aware operating system, which is so very, very cool. So the smart charging, for example, features any of the smart update features that help keep that the hardware optimal, right? So for example, the smart battery, it keeps it optimal. It doesn't deteriorate as quickly. And so all of the features are driven to help improve that sustainability, and they can do that through the smart updates. Again, another AI type feature that it has, that smart ability to do that. So yeah, first carbon aware operating system. Imagine that. Very cool. Okay, so next steps, right? Have those conversations with your customers on what operating system they're running. What does their environment look like? What devices do they have? What management structure are they using? What about their endpoint security? What does their growth path look like? And how are they set up to deal with the end of support for Windows 10? Are they already all on Windows 11? Then their story is going to be a really easy one to talk about. Are they still in that transition of getting to Windows 11? So a much more in-depth conversation on that as well. You'll have this included in the handout that'll be sent to you. And I don't know anybody, how many on here have used Expert Zone. It's a great site to go to for additional trainings on Microsoft specific that help you with your customers. Some great certifications out there. It helps you get caught up. It gives you some great steps for expanding that sales conversation with them when it comes to Microsoft. And then there's a great commercial storybook too that has some slides if you wanted to incorporate them into a conversation that you have with the customer as well. So these links will be included into the handout that you'll be given. Check them out. There's some great resources out there, as well as you can reach out to JR. You can reach out to myself, paula.scrimshire@hp.com. I believe that will be part of the handout as well. So thank you again for your time. I welcome any questions that you have, and I look forward to more updates going forward in this AI journey. Thanks.
Excellent. Well, with that, I'm going to thank everyone for joining us here today. For Paula and JR, thank you so much for joining. Let me go through my notes and make sure if you guys have any additional questions after this broadcast, or you're watching it on demand and have questions, go ahead and email hpspecialist@dnh.com. They can answer those questions for you. We have upcoming broadcasts that are coming. We got one that's coming on April 23rd with Poly Collaboration Solutions on multiple platforms. That one will be at 2 p.m. Eastern as well. You can register for that at dnh.com/solutionslab. And we do have a giveaway with this associated with this broadcast. I will just let you guys know the winners will be contacted after this presentation. Usually takes a couple weeks, so be patient with us on that, but we will be reaching out to the winners on that. But with all that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful afternoon. If it's nice and sunny where you're at, go out and enjoy the sun. If not, hopefully it'll be sunny tomorrow, and we'll kind of enjoy spring together. Take it easy, guys.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.